After around 2 days of Loki highs, I hadn't really touched them since. In normal matches, I felt like I was robbing my opponent.
Oh, no, 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 no. You stopped playing it because you felt like you were robbing your opponent? I'm robbing people blind, bro. Like, what do you mean? What's up, YouTube? So my friend sent me this video, the most broken cards in Marvel Snap, or it's actually these cards broke Marvel Snap, but same thing. I only watched the first one and I already had something to say, and I was like, instead of just typing a response to all of the stuff, I was just gonna be like, all right, well, let me just do a video of it and I'll just post it on YouTube, because the first one I was already like, there might possibly be a way out of it, but I know it was still annoying. I think I played the game during the time that the first card that she talks about had that effect. So let's just start the video.
These are the most broken cards in the history of Marvel Snap. Galactus might not have been the most powerful cards in the history of Snap, but he was definitely in the top 3 in making opponents feel powerless and frustrated. When Galactus was first released in November 2022, he was a 6/3 with an on reveal that read, "If this is your only card here, destroy all other locations."
Okay, so I wasn't aware that his ability was not this anymore, and that you had to be winning that location, apparently. Like, I've run into this card a few times, not like many times, very, very few times, like recently over the like past couple of months that I've been playing. I guess because, you know, people don't want to use it anymore, I guess.
So you didn't need the current requirement of also be winning that location in order for Galactus to trigger. Most of the time, and this was before Alive was a card, people would play Galactus
So
into a losing location so that they would play out their death and null without the fear of being Shang-Chi'd, or to be able to play cards like Valkyrie or Shang-Chi themselves. Galactus was
So real quick, right? I think that doing this before the end of the game is just always a bad idea. Like, I never want to fill up my locations before the end of the game because of stuff like this happening. Like, not necessarily specifically like Galactus, but just people being able to play cards on zones that you can't play anymore. That's why people use stuff like like debris and like trash stuff, where they'll fill up your location with other stuff. Or, you know, like I used to use Green Goblin in one of my decks, and a Hobgoblin, and, you know, try to throw that card and, you know, make a good read on filling up that location, so they can't play anything there, and, you know, take away some of their power from that location or whatever. But yeah, I don't, specifically for this reason, I don't ever like fill up my locations. I try to like diversify my options when I'm playing cards and stuff like that, especially like utility stuff, where it's like something that is not going to win me the location necessarily, but just like when I play Sauron, or when I play Zero, or when I play any card that is just a utility, like Iron Fist or something like that, I kind of spread them out so that like I could always have room to play more cards in other locations and play cards that are going to actually win me the game. Now maybe that's not the case for, you know, all decks, because I only really play right now. I only really play Taskmaster, like Shuri with like Red Skull, and I actually changed out Typhoid Mary for Vision, but like, and, you know, I have Zero and stuff like that. But big cards, I'm definitely Shang-Chi food. But yeah, like I just think that's a bad idea to put fill up your locations before the end of the match, and then you won't have to worry about getting Galactus. At least you won't get Galactus as hard, because Galactus, he's only a 3 power card. So like, it's not like he's like a 10 power card that destroys everything else, and then like you can't beat that like area because he's just too strong and you don't have anything left to play. But like, if I had like open areas, then I could like play like Shuri into like Red Skull, and now they got to deal with that. You know what I mean?
Shang-Chi'd, or to be able to play cards like Valkyrie or Shang-Chi themselves. Galactus was definitely one of the most controversial cards, with a lot of people from the Marvel Snap community complaining about him and asking for a nerf. The problem with Galactus was, unless you had some kind of counter against him, be it Cosmo, Debris, Green Goblin, or another control card, there was nothing you could do to stop him. The most aggravating combination was probably Wave on turn 3, Galactus on turn 4, into Spider-Man on turn 5, which basically locked your opponent out of playing anything for the last turn, guaranteeing you the win. And
no,
he used to be a 4-3 with an on-reveal that read, your opponents can't play cards at this location next turn. So after a lot of complaints from the community,
that's actually busted. Spider-Man is ridiculous.
On reveal ability in January 2023. A lot of people didn't.
Okay, Spider-Man definitely was ridiculous. That was so stupid.
This a nerf, like I mentioned earlier, it actually worked in your favor if you lost priority with Galactus, so you can't be Shang-Chi'd. But the reduction in power also made negative Galactus decks quite popular, or maybe it was just people loved them. Shuri used to be different too, and more on that
Ebony
later.
Maw.
So the card you played after her did not need to be played in the same location as her. This resulted in some hilarious games where Galactus got absolutely humongous. So
wait, what just happened here?
Decks quite popular, or maybe it was just me who loved them. Shuri used to be different too, and more on that later. So the card you played after her did not need to be played in the same location as.
Oh, so Shuri was ridiculous. Shuri was like Zero, where Zero, he doesn't have to be on the same location as the cards you play to take their ability away, which is good. I usually play them together anyway, because I'll usually play like Zero Ebony Maw, or I'll play like Zero Martyr, so that she can't make me lose the game even if she wanted to. so like I use it to make, like, to take the negative effects away. I guess everybody does that, but like use it to take the negative effects away. Sometimes I'll very rarely will use it to take like regular effects away, like take away like Iron Fist's effect or something like that, just to be able to play him and not move somebody because I didn't want them to move and I want that card to be a certain spot. Or you could just play Iron Fist last or whatever, whatever the case. Or you play Zero Iron Fist so that you could play the other card without the other card's ability getting taken away, and you can just, because you don't need it, you don't need Iron Fist's ability for some reason. Whatever, you get what I'm saying. You got options.
As her. This resulted in some hilarious games where Galactus got absolutely humongous, so more like his comic self.
Shuri Wong and Mystique.
For over 5 months until he was completely reworked and changed to his current form, but as a 6/7. Now you had to be winning the location Galactus is played in order for his ability to trigger. I honestly thought he was quite balanced.
That's still
as a 6/7, but the complaints didn't stop there. The combination
it's still annoying.
Into Galactus into Spider-Man still upset people a lot. So as of September last year, Galactus is a 6/5 and is seen in only 3.7% of decks according to SnapFan. Galactus still has its fans and people still play him occasionally. He's definitely not as polarizing as he used to be in his original form, especially in the current meta because we've had.
I mean, I feel like he's still pretty annoying.
Spider-Man's ability is now completely different, and losing initiative with Galactus is super risky because of Goliath. Does anyone remember the dark days of Leech-Leader? Thanks, Dara, by the way. Because I do. Leader was one of the first Series 3 cards I unlocked when I first started playing Marvel Snap, and it carried me pretty high in rank that season. Leader was released as a 6/4 with the on-reveal ability that read, copy all the cards your opponents played this turn, but on your side. All
of them? That would be like drawing. Like if I was playing against that, because like on my last turn, nobody really pays attention to somebody getting Taskmaster. Like if there's a 28 card on turn 5, I feel like people mostly are like, oh well, he should have saved that until last turn. Now I know where his best card is going to be, and then they just don't think about Taskmaster. I feel like that's what usually happens. Because then they play something, and then like I play Taskmaster somewhere, and I'm like, why wouldn't you think that I would play Taskmaster over here instead? But who's expecting Taskmaster? But like that's another thing. Like I'll play Taskmaster and like Ebony Maw at the end of the game because Ebony Maw's ability taken away, you can play him whenever.
Yep, that is right. He copied all of the cards your opponent played but on your side. And if you didn't have priority and your opponent played cards that got buffed after being played, for example with Shuri or Silver Surfer, you will copy the buffed versions too. Winning the old leader was pretty easy. You just needed to make sure that after playing leader, you would win 2 locations and voila, you've won the game since you copy your opponent's cards on your side, plus leader. Of course, there were also space issues and leader mirrors to consider, but most of the time, leader would end up in...
Leader.
Of course, people hated losing to their own cards.
He has 4 leaders on his side.
A leader nerf, and nerfed he did to a 6-3 around 6 months after release. Leader having a positive power didn't really sit with people that well because as long as playing leader in that location won that location, it was pretty much a guaranteed win, with a few exceptions like Sunspot Soaking or Dracula, Taskmaster and Silver Surfer decks. Of course, people were very unhappy about the nerf, so in the same month, leader was completely reworked into a super confusing card that no one could understand until they played him. Only once because he sucked big butts, so nobody ever touched him again after that. He became a 6-7 with an on-reveal, copy all cards your opponent played to the location to the right, but on your side. This effectively killed people started playing around it pretty quickly. 3 months later, we got the leader that we have today, which is a 6-2 that copies the enemy card or cards with the highest power played this turn, but on your side. Today, leader is only really played in Sandman decks or by bots, or if you get him from the
Sandman decks or by bots.
I definitely don't miss the leader meta. High Evolutionary was the newest addition to the big bads of Marvel Snap.
Yo,
and since its release
screw High Evo.
2023,
Screw High Evo until I have one.
Wolves have been nerfed. High Evo decks felt so strong when they first came out, they felt almost like cheating to play him. Anyone who didn't have him had to have Luke Cage in their decks to protect themselves against those pesky power-reducing cards. Popular earlier versions of High Evo decks also ran Lockjaw, so you could play your Wasp over and over again, every time afflicting 2 enemy cards in that location with -1 power with 0 energy, while putting more power on board with Lockjaw. So Hulk was pretty much always 18 power because he didn't need to be in your hand or on board to start gaining power, and to say that there were complaints was an understatement. Pretty much everyone, especially people who didn't have High Evolutionary, were calling for nerfs.
Yeah, if you don't have it, of course.
Were Wasp and Hulk, followed by the Thing. Surprisingly, Cyclops, arguably one of the strongest cards in the High Evo arsenal, has never been nerfed. If played on turn 4, Cyclops could easily be a 3-10 or even 3-12 if it's a limbo game. Definitely one of the strongest 3 drops in the game. It seemed like the High Evo's reign of terror had come to an end towards the start of December 2023, and although he was still being played mainly as a Loki counter, he was nowhere as oppressive.
I don't even remember what Loki
However, the December 5th patch surprised us all with a huge Luke Cage nerf, who instead of affecting the whole board, now only affects the
I was around for this nerf. Because I didn't use Luke Cage, but a friend of mine, Mike, used Luke Cage, and he was pissed. Because he was like, yo, I use that card all the time. They nerfed it. Now he can't like protect his cards.
Luke Cage was pretty much the only counter to the evolved Cyclops, the Thing, Wasp, and to an extent Abomination. So this change definitely brought back the popularity of High Evo decks. Today, High Evo
0-10s.
T-Node package built within them with magic to guarantee
Hulks
7 and sometimes Leech to make your opponent's tech cards useless. The deck also works pretty well with Chimera, one of the new cards of the planet Hulks.
Hey yo!
Protect your Sunspot, Misty, and sometimes Nebula, and all the Hulks plus Infinite. I'm pretty happy with where the deck is at the moment, but I do wish that Luke Cage would affect the whole side of your board again, even if that means he becomes a 3-drop. Oh boy, where do I start with Thanos? I've always hated playing against Thanos decks because of all the utility his stones provided. The devs have always been really careful with cards that let you draw more cards from your deck. That's why they've been so reluctant to buff Crystal. But with the original Thanos, every single stone, with the exception of Power Stone, would let you draw a card or two from your deck. Space Stone also worked differently and allowed you to move one card at the location Space Stone was played at, so you could easily get into Sanctum Sanctorum, which was a lot harder to do back then because we didn't have Jeff yet. Soulstone was also ridiculously strong. Not only did it have the potential of being a
I use Iron Fist for that.
Card from your deck to make
and Quake. I have Iron Fist and Quake because Iron Fist and Quake allow you to like get to spots that you wouldn't normally be able to get to. Like I think Sanctum Sanctorum is the one where it says you can't play cards here. And usually if it's on the left or in the middle, I'll usually just play Iron Fist and then bump a card over into there. Or you just play a card somewhere else and then play Quake and then switch that card over there. But like usually I don't do it with Quake because I don't want any of their cards to possibly be played there. So I don't want them to play a card somewhere else, and then I flip it, and then they played a card there, I played a card there, and their card beats mine, and now I got to figure out how to get it over there. Or if it's on, the only time I think to use Quake is if something that you can't play is on the right-hand side, or I guess if I'm using Iron Fist, because then I can play Quake and flip the one that I can't move into from the right side to the left. So then I can move my card to the left to get it into that spot. But I have to be able to be winning that area though. And usually if you can't play cards there, then your opponent is only going to be playing cards in two of the other spaces. Or you do it to block off a combo or something that your opponent was going to play. Like if they start playing cards in one area and they're like, oh, I see what they're about to do with like a destroy card or something like that, where they play one of their cards like a Wolverine, or they play like a I don't know, another card like a Nova or something like that, and you're like, oh, let me use Quake to flip the thing over there so they don't Carnage that, or they don't Venom that card or whatever, right? So that's also how I use the locations to my advantage, because I used to hate shitty locations. But like I made my deck so that I can play around shitty locations at first, and then I was like, man, let me try to use these locations against my opponent. So now I like when shitty locations pop up because I try to use them in my gameplay.
Reduce the cost of cards down to 0, and because the stones don't start off in your deck, they get shuffled into the deck at the beginning of the game. They all cost 0 energy if you had Quinjet on board. So the most popular Thanos deck also was running Lockjaw and Quinjet, allowing you to cheat big cards out of your deck for free. Bear in mind that Lockjaw used to work differently too. There was no limit on the amount of cards you can pull from your deck per turn, so you were able to cheat out multiple big cards out of your deck for free starting on turn 3. To make things even worse, this completely broken deck also ran the original version of Leech, which was, on reveal, remove the abilities of all the cards in your opponent's hand. Oh, so you have a nice Thanos counter in the form of Killmonger in your hand that you're saving until turn 5 or 6 to play. Psych! Here's a Leech on turn 3 to make your whole hand completely useless.
Leech on turn 3? Well, like, wait a second. Leech on turn 5 to stop you from doing stuff on turn 6 is annoying. Leech on turn 3 is ridiculous.
Following the nerf of Quinjet, Lockjaw, Space Stone, and Soulstone, Thanos has seen a huge dip in popularity, especially since so many other overpowered cards have now since been released. Today, Thanos decks are once again quite popular before the most recent Professor X nerf in Thanos control decks in combination with Alive, and since then, Thanos Blob has been the meta. I mean,
it's funny because I don't really watch any type of Marvel Snap content. Like, this is probably the first Marvel Snap video I've ever watched. Like, I've never watched any Marvel Snap content. I post Marvel Snap stuff, but I don't watch anything. The only thing that I have done in terms of like seeing what the meta is like I hear stuff, you know, people talking about stuff and what's the meta, like a couple of my friends, and then I when I downloaded the Untapped thing and it shows like, you know, what cards, what decks are meta. So like I was playing Shuri Taskmaster. The only reason why I'm even playing Shuri Taskmaster is because I like Taskmaster, and I was like, oh, I think I can make this Taskmaster work, right? And then I was like, yo, I'm gonna throw in Red Skull and Typhoid Mary. And then my friend was like, yo, you should play Sauron. And I was like, oh, okay, okay, I think I'm gonna do that. I think that's the reason why I played that actually. Is like he said play Sauron. I forget why he told me to play Sauron, like the exact reason. But he was like, play Sauron, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, oh, you know, I could play Red Skull, I could play Typhoid Mary, I could get these cards that have these negative effects and take the effects away. And I was like, okay, and who else got negative effect that's ongoing? And then I thought about Enchantress. I did have Enchantress in there at one point, but I took her out. And then I wasn't really using her that much. And I was like, well, if I got Sauron, I don't really need Enchantress. So I wasn't using Enchantress. Enchantress was probably good for if I had a card and I needed to remove the effects from the card while it was out on the field. Like if I put down Typhoid Mary and then put out Enchantress. Because I wasn't thinking about Enchantress for my cards. I was like, I don't really need this because I don't really need to play it against other people's cards, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. And then I was like, all right, well, I think I could play Taskmaster because then I could just play a 14 and then I could play another 14 on the other side. They won't even know, like, you know. So and then when I looked into what decks were meta and the Shuri deck was there, people were like, oh, you're just playing a Shuri deck without Shuri, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, I guess Shuri would be a pretty good card to play here, but I didn't have her at the time, so I mean I couldn't play her. So I basically was chasing Shuri as a card for the series 3, like the monthly series 3, I think, where you get to pick a card every couple of hours. It would switch. So that's the card I was looking for. I finally got it maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, and I put that in there, and I got 0 later on, and then so like that deck is pretty complete. And it's funny that I just kind of fell into a meta deck because I like the cards, and then I found out, oh, this is a pretty good ass deck, and then that's the deck that I mainly play now.
Who doesn't love adding a casual 630 to the board with 0 downside? Okay,
God.
so I actually have a very soft spot in my heart for Arrow because I started playing at the height of her power in November 2022.
I have never played this card.
That on reveal moved all enemy cards played this turn to this location.
Oh, what? Okay.
So the winning plan was very simple. Just win 2 locations by turn 6 and then play Arrow on turn 6 into your losing location, and voila! You've won the game! As long as you had priority going into turn 6, there was very little your opponent could do to stop you. Bear in mind that Dr. Doom wasn't as popular back then as he is today, so Arrow was allowed to run unchecked until she was unceremoniously nerfed in March 2023 to only move the last enemy card played this turn to this location. Yes, there was a tiny nerf in between that reduced her power by 1, but that didn't really affect her play rate. You didn't play her for her power, but for her ability. I'm pretty sure she would still be played even if she was at 0 power. One of the most popular decks back then was Barrow. Not sure why it was called Barrow, maybe because Arrow is Bay, but it was basically a Death Wave deck before Wave was changed to work the way she does now. If you destroyed at least 4 cards, and Death used to be a 9/12, and played the Wave and nothing else on turn 5. On turn 6, you could play Death for free, She-Hulk for 2 energy, and another card for 6 energy. Maybe Arrow, or even Leader to make sure they infuriate your opponent even more. Arrow has seen another change recently which has brought back her popularity tiny bit. She is now a 5/9 that on reveal moves the last enemy card played anywhere to this location. She now can only move cards that have been revealed, so if you have initiative when you play Arrow, she will not move the last card your opponent played that turn because it wouldn't have been revealed yet. Instead, she will will move the last card that was revealed no matter what turn it was played. She's been very effective at moving opponents' Miss Marvel and disrupting Living Tribunal combinations. She's definitely nowhere near as strong as her glory days, but that's okay, we have other cards we can complain about. Okay, Shuri. Shuri in her original state was simply glorious. A 4/2 on reveal that doubled the power of the next card you play, no matter where you played it. This means that unlike now, you didn't have to play the next card in the same location as Shuri, but you could actually play it behind Cosmo to protect it. And then you just play your Taskmaster in another location, preferably one with armor in it, and voila, you win. And this was the days before Shadow King, so there was
Wait a second. Wait.
to play the next card in the same location as that's okay, we have other cards we can complain about.
I think what she just did with Taskmaster, playing Taskmaster after Shuri. Wait, what?
Okay, Shuri in her original state was simply glorious. A 4/2 on reveal.
Okay.
The next card you play, no matter where you play.
Okay, I was confused. I was like, how did Shuri double the buffed Taskmaster? I was like, what? It was the location. I was like, how do you play Taskmaster after Shuri and get a buffed double? Like, I was like, it doesn't make any sense.
And this was the days before Shadow King, so there was basically nothing your opponent could do to stop this combination unless you managed to Cosmo the Taskmaster location with priority, or maybe play Galactus. Because finally, Taskmaster used to work differently. Even if the card with the double power got destroyed, Taskmaster would still manage to copy its power from beyond the group.
I mean, some cards still do that. And I've definitely run into this issue a few times where I play my card and I play Task and the first card gets Shang-Chi'd and then Taskmaster is sitting there like, I ain't got nothing to copy. Like
Grave. Shuri was definitely one of the strongest decks of the meta back then. It was usually a retreat if you know your opponent is playing Shuri and they snap on turns 3 or 4. The deck was very predictable and linear, but there was very little you could do to stop it. Today, Shuri is a mere shadow of herself. She was still quite popular up until cards like Alive and Blob came out. Because she is such a predictable deck, it's quite easy to beat her with Alive, and Blob Thanos just put
She is rather predictable, but it seems like people just never see Taskmaster coming. If Shuri is in the, like, from the way she's talking, if Shuri is in the deck, Taskmaster is probably in the deck. You know what I mean? Like,
and of course now we also have Shadow King that can easily and cheaply counter your buffed Taskmaster. So I didn't play during the beta launch of Marvel Snap in May 2022, but I'm told Nova used to completely dominate the meta in those early days. Nova was originally a 1/2 that when destroyed gave you cards plus 2 power.
God damn.
Basically what Silver Surfer does, but for all of your cards and for cheaper. Back then, Moon Girl used to be a 3/3, so you could easily play 2 Novas and destroy it with Carnage or Killmonger on turn 6 to give all of your cards plus 4 power. If that sounds busted, it's because it was. If you play 1 card every single turn for 5 turns and then play Nova and destroy it with another card on turn 6, the Nova works out to be a whopping 1/12, and that is being extremely conservative. Usually you can probably play out a lot more cards, resulting in more power. To nobody's surprise, Nova was swiftly nerfed to give only 1 power to the cards just 1 month after the release. He did manage to keep its 2 power until January 2023, which is when he was nerfed to his current form. Almost everyone
They just come out with super buff cards and then nerf them because buff cards are fun. Like that's just what it is.
Strong Loki was going to be. Playing Loki on day 1 of Loki for All Time season felt like playing Marvel Snap the Vegas edition. The highs were so high it felt exhilarating. I've never seen the collection
exactly
that big, and neither was able to play 6 cards in 1 turn and still have energy left over. Loki not only added power on board with the Collected and himself being a 5 power card, but gave you a handful of discounted cards that would usually synergize with each other. Combined with Queen Injured, Loki's energy cheating felt almost illegal. How is it fair that I can play out my opponent's Doctor Doom for 4 energy while still being able to play a bunch of other cards? Korg for 0 energy? Sure. Shang-Chi for 2 energy? No problem. Vision for 3 energy and Iron Lad for 2 energy? It's perfectly normal. After around 2 days of Loki highs, I hadn't really touched him since. In normal matches, I felt like I was robbing my opponent and we were playing completely different games, and
oh no. You stopped playing it because you felt like you were robbing your opponent. I'm robbing people blind, bro. Like, what do you mean? If that's what you if you got it, play it. If you got it, play it. If they don't nerf it and you winning, win.
And in mirror matches, it all came down to who drew their cards better. The meta became Loki or Loki counters for almost the whole month, and it's probably the most popular Cerebro ever was, and people were forced to play Phoenix Force and Mr. Negative just to beat Loki, but of course those decks are anything but consistent. Loki was a season pass card that came out on September 5th, 2023, and he remained
September 5th. So that was the month before I moved. The month before I moved, Loki was a card. I wasn't playing Marvel Snap then. I didn't start playing Marvel Snap until halfway through October, I believe. Yeah, I think it was like halfway through October, or like most of October I was playing Marvel Snap. And then because I was in the hotel, I didn't have my computer, and I was just like, I would get up every morning, we would go to breakfast, and then I would be playing Marvel Snap, and then I would play Marvel Snap before I went to sleep. And that's pretty much, I was streaming a little bit, but I was playing like Monster Hunter Rise and Marvel Snap and a few other things on Steam Deck, but that's pretty much it.
Untouched until October 26, almost 2 months of Clown Fiesta meta. That is when his energy cost got increased from 3 to 4. And was that a death of Loki? Of course not. His power was still there. He still worked the collector, and the energy cheating was still there. I don't think I've ever had as much fun playing Marvel Snap as I did during those 2 months of Loki. And because Mobius was nerfed super harshly to begin with, Loki was allowed to run wild unchecked. Up until recently, Loki was still one of the best decks in the game. Just look at the most recent Marvel Snap Conquerors event, Winter Royale, where
all of these werewolves
were playing Loki. In good hands, Loki is still a top tier deck. He's just not in fashion at the moment, and to me, that
I do want
Devil Dino was my
Spider Gwen.
Deck when I first started.
I don't like calling her Ghost Spider.
No Series 3 cards besides Arrow.
She's Spider Gwen.
Was super consistent at putting out power on board, and in combination with Arrow, that deck secured me my first ever infinite rank. But the legend says that during the beta launch, Devil Dino and Moon Girl were completely broken. At beta launch, Devil Dino used to be a 3-0 with an ongoing ability that gave +2 power for each card in your hand, so the same as now, and Moon Girl was a 3-3 with the same on reveal. Do you see where this is going? Being able to play 2 Devil Dinos on turn 6, or 1 Dino on 5, another Dino plus Mystique on turn 6, sounds absolutely bonkers to me. Or even just playing 1 Dino and Moon Girl on 6 is adding so much power on board, so much power that even most 6 drops won't be able to contest with. Of course, both cards were very swiftly nerfed 1 month later. Moon Girl to her current state of
Sinister London.
But Devil Dino was
favorite location.
Dino was allowed to stay like that for
usually if Sinister London is on the field, I win. Like I can't remember recently where I've lost a game where Sinister London was on the board.
The 3 months before he was changed to his current form of 5-3. At 5-3, he is still one of the best cards in the early game before you start unlocking powerful series 3, 4, and 5 cards. He can consistently add a lot of power to your board, and you actually still see him in top meta decks like Thanos and Loki. You may disagree with the number 1 spot here, but to me, Zabu was probably the most
Mook said this card was good. He said his card was good. I haven't even like thought about like what you could do with this card. I don't even know why. Like he looks similar to what's the other dude? The other dude, I forget what the other dude's name is. He's basically like a Tarzan character.
Broken card to be released in Marvel Snap.
He just reminds me of that
Zabu
card.
was a season pass card
Like
of the Savage last
those two cards
season,
go together, I think,
and
right?
boy, did he shake up the meta. At release, Zabu was a 3/2 with an ongoing ability that made your 4 cost cards cost 2 less, a minimum of 1. So, if you manage to play Zabu on turn 3, all of your 4 energy cards end up costing 2 energy, which means you could play out a further 6 4 energy cards for the rest of the game. And the most frustrating combination in the game was probably playing multiple Spider-Man. Spider-Man used to be different like we mentioned earlier. It used to be a 4/3 with that locked your opponents from playing cards at this location next turn. If you manage to Moon Girl your Spider-Man or play Spider-Man into Absorbing Man on turn 5, you effectively stop your opponent from playing into 2 locations on turn 6. Some versions of this deck also ran Storm, so if everything went perfectly, your opponent is left with no locations to play in on last turn. Frustrating how it felt to play the game during that period. Of course, like with any lockdown decks, this strategy, although infuriating, didn't usually yield a lot of Q.
That's drawing.
Cheating from the original
Shang-Chi is drawing. He's a drawing card.
Play a ridiculous amount of 4.
Like, I know he probably has to be there to
I mean, who would say no to a 2/8?
2
and the most
lockdown.
powerful deck at that time was probably Zabu Darkhawk. Darkhawk came out right before Zabu was released, and Rock Slide used to be a 4 energy card, a 4/6 if I'm not mistaken. Zabu on turn 3, Moon Girl and another 4-drop on turn 4 leaves you to play double Rock Slide on turn 5 and double Darkhawk on turn 6, plus another 4-drop of your choice. Anyone who managed to open Darkhawk from a collector's reserve, yes, you used to be able to open series 4 and 5 cards from collector's reserves, was bonkers lucky and just sailed away.
Oh, that's drawing.
With 0.
Yeah, Spider-Man was drawing.
Surprised that Zabu was nerfed very quickly, 1 month after his release to his current form, but of course not until the new season started. It is a season pass card after all. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Wait.
Let me know if you think I've missed out some powerful cards.
Wait, Spider-Man still does that? Does he still do that? Move another location and pull an enemy card. Oh, no, he doesn't still do that. Okay, I was like, hold on. I was like, I don't remember. Like, all the matches with Spider-Man blocking off locations. And I was like, wait a second. Does he still do that? I was like, he definitely was a different card. Move to another location and pull an enemy card from here. Because I don't ever remember him doing that. I only remember this. So that must have been like before October, right? I think she said that was before October. But yeah, yeah, some of the, I mean, I'm sure that they will continue to come out with busted cards time and time again, because they come out with good cards because they have to have people want to get them, right? So like the cards are in the battle pass. So like you buy the battle pass to get the busted card, play the busted card for that season, and then later on the card gets nerfed. After the season's over and done with, the card gets nerfed, and then you're on to the next card. It's like, oh, that card got nerfed. Oh, new battle pass is out. New busted card. Let me buy that battle pass. So like that's probably why they do it that way. This is you get the busted card, and instead of continuing to use the busted card for the rest of the season, the next season afterwards, then they nerf it to bring it down, and you're like, oh, this card isn't that good anymore. But that other card, let me buy that battle pass. I only usually buy the battle passes if I complete the entire battle pass. Like in Marvel Snap's situation, you get to the like tier 50 or something like that. Whatever the last thing where they start giving you like the rewards or the chests or whatever, I'll buy the battle pass then usually, or if it's a card that I really want, but kind of both, because like I didn't buy the Hulk one because like I might end up getting to the end of the Hulk one, but I don't know if I'm gonna buy it because like I'm not gonna use it. But if I think I'm gonna use the card, like I bought the Miss Marvel one after I completed it, but I didn't really use Miss Marvel at all, so I don't even understand how the card works completely. So I was like, whatever. But you know, buy it for the rewards, for the like for the credits and stuff like that too. So anyway, that's been this video. So thanks for watching. Peace.